So you buy a car from a seller. You get a nice car at a nice price from which you can drive your family to a vacation. And the seller also got profit from selling that car. Both people are getting profit from that transaction. But there's an external factor that there are people who have no involvement with the transaction, but they are getting affected by the transaction. How so? The car produces CO2 emissions. Now only one car will not bring that much change, but many other cars collectively will increase the amount of CO2 emissions in the environment, and that might lead to increase in the oceans level, which might lead to a entire country drowning, and that is an issue. Also, by buying a car, if you are irresponsible even for one day, you are not only putting your own life at risk, you are putting almost all people's life at risk who are at the same road. So in this transaction, people who have no involvement with the transaction are getting directly affected in a negative way through the transaction. Now, this concept in economics is called externality. Now, externality is not only of the negative kind, it can be positive or mixed ones. For example, for the positive ones, you can say that if you buy a light for your own home and you install it near your main gate, then that will also make the overall neighborhood more secure. It will be more bright. Now that is a kind of positive externality where your own transactions are also helping the people who are not directly correlated with the transaction in a positive way. Now there are also mixed one. Now mixed one example would be smokers. So when they smoke, usually the people near them get affected by the smoke of the smoke of the cigarette. Okay, but smokers also do usually die young. So they pay the normal taxes as everyone else, but they die young. So they enjoy less benefits of their taxes than the people who live more. So they are also doing positive one and negative ones. So this was the concept of externality. Now, what do we do about negative externality? So negative externality are usually done by two main things in which governments are usually involved. The first one is policies to ban everything that makes a negative thing or externality. For example, banning smoking in public places would help benefit the public. Another thing is increasing taxes. Now, if using CO2 related fuels would have higher taxes, you would have less chances to use them. That will increase it. Now, what benefits of taking taxes is that it can be also used in public benefits as well, such as research or funding more government programs. Now, uh, although government is not perfect, and do we really need government as well? So, here's one scenario. Okay, your neighbor buys musical instrument which he wants to buy. Let's say playing the instrument causes him $50 of profit, and you are his neighbor. So he is perfectly okay with his transaction, but his negative actionality is hurting you. And your own silence, maybe you work and that cost you $100. Okay, so here your own silence cost more than the neighbors. So what you can do is either pay him so that he doesn't do it. But it also depends on who chooses the right here. So like if you have a right to silence, okay. So instead he should pay you so that he can play the instrument, or if he has a right to noise, then you will pay me $100. That will make him not play the thing. Now in real life obviously it can be more complicated, but as we can see, if the party can actually pay for that thing $100, then both can come to the same conclusions of silence. Now this is good for local level individuals one, but when it comes to thing where the externality is indirectly involved or known, we can come into different issues. For example, who knows who is getting affected directly by the climate change and who exactly is causing these issues? Is it just one person or the entire society? No, that is one issue with it. Now, in the chapter which I read, the author argues that governments are actually useful for the market and in fact beneficial for it. For example, countries like Nigeria and Congo has a lot of resources with them. Countries like Nigeria and Congo has vast amount of resources with them, but due to bad government policies, they still suffer from poverty and financial issues. So government policies are actually beneficial in one way. Now, one other thing that government do is they decide who gets the ownership of a property. So when you take a risk for some kind of business, you would want that to so that your business won't get copied or steal. You have the right to own the property. Now that is one benefit that government provides. And if somebody tries to steal you, then you can just file a lawsuit against them. But one issue also, but this is also not perfect. Okay, so like currently in India, there are 56 million pending cases right now. That is a huge amount of pending cases, so that is also not perfect. Now the final point is that there are a lot of things that an individual party would not like to do for themselves. For example, they would not want to fund for example army or research projects that have no immediate benefit. Now who would handle them? They are beneficial for society, but there is no clear individual who is accountable for those. Now government, what government does is basically they act as an entity which does those tasks at the expense of society, so that people can just give their taxes and do their own tasks while these activities can be handled by the government.